You see them everywhere, right? Electric cars. They're sleek, they're quiet, and they're promising this incredible, clean future. But if they're so great, it brings up a really interesting puzzle. No, seriously, think about it for a second. We're told they're the inevitable future, but just look around. The present is still very, very much powered by gasoline. So today, we're going to dig into the real reasons we're all holding back. And trust me, the answer is probably not what you're expecting.
Okay, so when you ask people, why not an EV, their minds almost always jump to a couple of really common fears.
You know the ones I'm talking about. We've all heard them, maybe even felt them ourselves. That fear of getting stranded somewhere with a dead battery, or the sheer hassle of finding a charging station and then just waiting around. And the data shows just how real this is. Almost a third of people feel what researchers call charging anxiety. It's not just about finding a charger, it's the perception that it's just fundamentally slower and way more inconvenient than that quick 5-minute fill-up we're all so used to. And then you've got this number, which is just massive. Over half of us are just kind of skeptical of the tech. We tend to stick with what we know, the good old internal combustion engine, because, well, it's easy. It's the path of least resistance. It takes zero mental energy to just keep doing what we've always done. But here's the twist. While all those practical worries are totally real, they're only the tip of the iceberg. They're really just symptoms of a much deeper conflict, one that isn't happening on our roads, but inside our own heads. And this brings us right to the core of it all, this deep psychological tug of war between our rational brain and our emotional gut. A classic showdown, head versus heart. This feeling actually has a name. It's called cognitive coherence, and it's this fundamental subconscious need we all have for our choices to just feel right, For what we think, what we feel, and what we do to all be in sync. When they're not, we get this kind of internal friction, this static. So let's break that down. On one side, you've got activation. That's your head. It's asking all the logical questions. Is this practical? Does this make sense on paper? Then on the other side, you've got valence. And that's your heart. It's asking, how does this make me feel? Am I happy with this? Am I excited? A perfect decision gets a big yes from both. What's pretty amazing is that scientists can now actually map this internal battle. They use a special model that shows exactly how our deepest needs connect to the final actions we take.
And this is what that map looks like. It's called the HOTCO model. And hey, don't worry about all the crazy lines. The big idea is pretty straightforward. The circles up top are our needs, like convenience or being eco-friendly. The options down at the bottom are our actions, like buying a certain car. The model just calculates which action creates the strongest, most positive pathway from our needs.
And check this out. This shows how it works for a real person in the study. The green parts are all positive connections. For this person, the gasoline car option just lights up like a Christmas tree. It creates this really powerful, satisfying path that connects directly to what they value most: performance, comfort, and of course, convenience. So this leads to the million-dollar question. Which of these needs are the most powerful drivers for the average car buyer? The answer might actually surprise you. So when the researchers analyzed all the data, a really clear pattern emerged. The top 3 priorities for buyers weren't about saving the planet, and they weren't about embracing innovation. Nope, they were comfort, convenience, and performance. And this is so important. It tells us that while lots of people genuinely care about the environment, when it's time to make a huge purchase like a car, the decision is dominated by these deeply practical everyday concerns. The real question we're asking ourselves is, how will this car make my daily life better and easier? And all of this brings us to the final and most revealing piece of the puzzle. This is where that conflict between our head and our heart becomes crystal clear. The study also found something fascinating about how we group these cars in our heads. To our brains, electric and hybrid cars are basically the same thing. They check the same green and innovative boxes. So the real choice, the real mental fight, isn't between an EV and a hybrid. It's between this entire cleaner category and the old, familiar gasoline car. And here it is. This is the big aha moment. For many people, buying a gasoline car is the most logical, practical choice. That's a positive activation from the head. But at the exact same time, it comes with this feeling of unease or even guilt, and that's a negative valence from the heart. This chart is the visual proof, and it is fascinating. Each one of those dots is a person. The top right corner is the sweet spot. The choice is logical, and it feels good.
But then look at that bottom right corner for gasoline cars. See that huge cluster of people? For all of them, the decision makes perfect sense rationally, but emotionally, it feels wrong. So you see, the big hesitation to go all in on electric cars isn't just about a lack of charging stations. It's about this unresolved psychological battle. We're stuck between what our rational brain tells us is convenient and what our conscience is telling us is right.
Which leaves us all with one final thought to chew on. When you make a big decision, what ultimately wins out? The cold, hard logic of your head or the powerful feelings of your heart? Thank you so much for following along with us on this one.